I have been so into the genre of big sister advice, and now that I've been on YouTube for like 10 years and I'm in my 30s, I feel like that qualifies me as being able to give some big sister advice. So I partnered with Ulta Beauty to not only share with you guys their new Ulta Beauty Collection rebrand and go through some of the products with you guys, but also give you little tidbits of advice that I've accumulated over the years, or maybe just some words of comfort if you need them. So without much further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So I have some products here that I'm going to be applying as we go over some big sister advice. These are all from the new Ulta Beauty Collection. They've done a rebrand. They are cruelty-free, affordable, and they're also Gen Z friendly. So I felt like this was a good opportunity to not only talk about the products, but because working with Ulta Beauty and using these products feels very full circle to me. It genuinely feels very nostalgic because I am someone who really grew up with Ulta Beauty. It was one of my first experiences in like a beauty store, and I remember purchasing a lot of Ulta Beauty Collection when I was younger because it was affordable. I loved the products, they were high quality, and I was able to experiment with some of my more creative juices when it came to makeup. The first product I'm going to be applying is the Complexion Crush Foundation. This has 26 shades, and I picked out the shade light to medium. Kind of leads into my first piece of advice when it comes to makeup. Now that I'm in my 30s, look back at myself and wish I embraced the idea of less is more. It wasn't necessarily even a reflection of my creativity at the time. While I did like makeup and I did feel like it was something fun for me to do, I also felt like I applied a lot of makeup when I was younger because I felt like I had to. And looking back, I wish I embraced more of my natural beauty. I mean, I'm a millennial, so I really feel like the beauty standards were pretty harsh at the time, and so I understand why I thought like that, but I think this was also something that I really struggled with because I also kind of experienced a bit of an identity crisis when I was younger, being mixed, so being half Korean and half white. So I do feel like I used a lot of makeup to camouflage that fact and hide behind it, and I, looking back, wish I didn't do that as much. I wish I had someone to tell me that it was okay to kind of live in both worlds and that I was never going to be one or the other and that was okay. By the way, I don't know if you guys can tell, this foundation is like absolutely beautiful. I'm just using my fingers to blend it in because the warmth is just really working it into my skin. This is such a nice soft foundation, and this is really how I would have applied it back in the day. That is really my first piece of advice, is that less is more when it comes to makeup, and to not hide behind makeup because it's never really gonna change who you are. It's okay to live in the identity that you are. Being creative with makeup is fun and absolutely okay, but when you get to a point where you're using it to kind of camouflage your true self, then it's time to kind of take a step back and reassess, if that makes sense. By the way, let me show you a close-up of this foundation. You can still see some of the little natural features of my skin, but it's gonna add a little coverage where I want it to. And I just think the finish of that's really pretty. In fact, on my dry skin, it doesn't feel overly heavy, sticky, nothing like that whatsoever. In fact, I'm not even gonna set that with a powder because that feels really nice and fresh on my skin as is. The next product I'm gonna be using is an eyeshadow from the Ulta Beauty Collection. This is in the shade Heartfelt. And by the way, they have 40 shades of this, but I'm just gonna be using this guy all over my lid. I really am embracing simplicity in my routines lately, so having just one eyeshadow, kind of doing like a monochromatic type of look, has been up my alley. As the Ulta Beauty Collection is going through a rebirth, I kind of wanted to talk about a bit of the rebirth that I feel like I've gone through in my 30s and just kind of hitting my late 20s, becoming like an actual adult, as you would say, and just kind of my struggle with that, because I think when I was in my 20s, I was really intimidated to enter my 30s because it felt like I had to have everything figured out. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely in my head had set like this benchmark of 30 being the year that I would just have a handle on everything. I would know how everything works. I would know how the world works. I would feel self-confident in myself. And I realized I placed all of these benchmarks in front of me that are unattainable. Because I think the thing that people tend to forget when it comes to maturity or entering different phases in your life is that there's no exact pacing that works for everyone, that everyone kind of adjusts and changes over time with different life experiences and their own pace. And I definitely feel like if I had kind of allowed myself some space in that regard, I would have felt more comfortable entering 30 and it wouldn't have been such an intimidating experience. Now that I'm at my 30s, I mean, genuinely, it doesn't really feel that different from my like late 20s. I put way too much pressure on this like numerical idea. And I gotta tell you, like being in my 30s is definitely fun. I feel like I've really come into my own and accepted where I am, and that kind of comes into like my another little tidbit of advice. There is a lot of power in contentment, and what I mean by that is kind of similar to the point I was making before, that everyone kind of moves at their own pace and kind of hits these milestones at different rates. If you let yourself, you will always feel behind, because there's always going to be someone that has something that you want. There's always going to be the next goal to attain. There's always going to be the next big career move. But having contentment in where you are and finding happiness in that comes a lot of power. By the way, just as a stopping point, I don't know if you noticed, I didn't use any eyeshadow primer on my eyes, and that just went on so beautifully. I'm loving these eyeshadows. They are so pigmented, so easy to blend, and this is just, I feel like I just created a look in like a minute. And like I was kind of saying with my previous point, like simplicity. Like we had a whole look out of like an eyeshadow. You could also use this, by the way, as a blush. I think this would be very pretty. And since this goes on so smoothly, I feel like it would just create the most beautiful effect. To finish off my eye look, I'm gonna go ahead and use the Ultamate lashes. This is a multitasking mascara, and I've used this a couple times. One of the things that I really love about this is a wax-based mascara, and I've said this 1,000 times in previous videos. I am a volume girly over length, and so this is like the ultimate volumizing, thickening mascara. So if you like that look, you would like this. The wax definitely helps like build up the lashes, helps them separate without getting too clumpy, but definitely gives you that like very fluffy, voluminous look. And this brush, by the way, is amazing. They definitely did a good job developing this brush. It has an hourglass shape to it, so it's really good at getting in those corner lashes or like those little lower lashes that are kind of hard to pick through. This is really great at getting all the lashes and separating them. Moving on to my next piece of advice is something that I am currently working on. So this is something that I'm constantly reminding myself of and have almost created a mantra around. I'm an adult who can make decisions for myself. As someone who grew up as a people pleaser and who got attention from basically being a perfectionist and serving others, I definitely found that in my adult life, I give a lot of myself up for other people, and then I have nothing left for myself. I end up like sacrificing my own well-being for the well-being of others, and then I find that I'm not happy. Finding a good medium and balance for that has definitely been a struggle, and like I said, has been something I'm actively working on, because like all of these pieces of advice I'm giving you throughout this video, you are never going to accomplish these things overnight. These are things you actively have to work on. So this is something that I'm actively working on. And by the way, speaking of actively working on, just to show you the difference in lashes, like look at that volume, so pretty and separated. Look at the difference. Having kind of like a mantra like that and allowing myself to have boundaries has been pertinent in my adult life, because then I don't find myself doing things I don't want to do. I oftentimes before would get caught up in saying yes to plans that I didn't necessarily want to do or participate in. And because I've told myself that I am someone who can make decisions for myself, basically what I'm telling myself is I'm allowed to choose myself and put myself first. And while I do think it's important to like participate in other people's lives and be a friend that can be reliable and, you know, to step outside of your comfort zone and not live inside of your box, I also think it's important to remember that you have the right to make decisions in your own life. That mascara is so good, and like everything else from the Ulta Beauty Collection, so affordable. And as a footnote with boundaries, don't let anyone guilt you from having them. The reason that people shame you or guilt you for having boundaries is because they intend to cross them. I've heard that somewhere, and it's so true. Moving on to the last product that I'm gonna be using for this video from the Ulta Beauty Collection is the Weightless water. This is such a beautiful stain. It comes in kind of like a tint form, and there are 6 different shades available. I have the shade Very Berry, and I just think this is such a universally pretty color. Not only can you use this on your lips, but I'm also gonna be using this on my cheeks, because as I said before, less is more. You can absolutely multitask with high quality products, and I just love a product that is versatile and looks good for pretty much every occasion. And by the way, I love stains like this for using on my cheeks because it definitely helps last longer. So since it does create a little bit of a stain, it stays on your skin for longer. So you do want to work a little quickly with these, but as you can see, it's super buildable. So I would work in layers to get the type of tint you want. So there's my little natural stain, which I feel like this is so popular with Gen Z. And then obviously this side doesn't have it. So there's the difference. So it's nice and subtle, embraces your natural beauty. And by the way, this has a bunch of nice ingredients in it, like green tea extracts. It has glycerin, so it's gonna kind of keep that hydrated type of look. And this also has aloe, so it's gonna be soothing as well. So not only soothing on the skin, but soothing on the lips. The last thing that I wanna talk about, or my last piece of big sister advice, is don't let embarrassment stop you from trying new things. This piece of advice is so applicable for this video because if I let embarrassment or things people had to say stop me from trying new things, obviously would not be where I am today, and I would not be in the Ulta Beauty Collective. I would not be partnering with brands that I absolutely love. I would not be working in the beauty industry, which has been my ultimate passion my entire life. By the way, look how cute that stain is. It's like the perfect popsicle look. And like I was kind of mentioning at the beginning of this video, I have such fond memories of Ulta Beauty, shopping in their stores, using their original collection. And now I'm so excited that I get to talk about their rebrand and rebirth, because I feel like I'm going through a version of a rebirth myself. And had I not put myself out there because of embarrassment, I wouldn't be here talking about this, working with them. And doing something outside of your comfort zone that you think might be embarrassing or you might feel shame about, honestly creates such growth. I've had so many opportunities by putting myself out there, and if I allowed what other people had to say or the embarrassment stop me, I don't even know where I would be. It's really hard for me to imagine at this point. I genuinely never thought when I was purchasing Ulta Beauty Collection, when I was in high school or when I was in college, just growing up and experiencing more in the beauty industry, that I would be sitting here today talking about these new products, sharing them with you guys, and giving big sister advice. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm gonna link all the products that I mentioned down in the description box below. If you guys want more information on the Ulta Beauty Collection, I will put that there as well. And I just wanna say thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to speak on this. I hope this was helpful in case you're stuck or you just needed words of encouragement, or just having someone say something that will kind of shake you out of your rut or whatever it might be. And a big thank you to Ulta Beauty for partnering with me on this video and allowing me to spread this message. And as always, I hope you guys are happy and healthy, and don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, share with your friends and family, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.